4 years ago, this month, we took our first placement. She was 16 at the time, and we kind of courted her at the beginning. We volunteered at the shelter to get to know her a little bit, made phone calls, got permission for day passes, took her to the movies and shopping, to church, those kinds of things. And then we slowly graduated into overnight visits, and that moved pretty quickly into weekend visits. And then at one point there was just a conversation of, am I coming to live with you? And we were like, if you're ready, let's do it. And she moved in. That was our first placement, and she aged out at 18, but voluntarily signed back in. Lived with us off and on until she's 20. So that connection stayed even past the DHS time period. So I don't know that I can compare them very well, but we raised kids. So I think fostering kids is just like parenting kids. They're all kids, and they've all got different things they like, different things they don't like. There's all these different stages, you know, when they're babies, we teach them to walk and to talk and to get dressed on their own. And when they're bigger, we teach them how to share and how to play on team sports and how to be respectful and those kinds of things. As teenagers, I think that spirit of, there's so much more you've got to teach them. It's so much more important. It's just another phase, though, in their life and their development of who they are on the planet and how they become successful adults. And I think probably the thing that's been the hardest for us is to teach them.
Teach them to trust.
Teach them to trust. Teach them to love and to be loved. They've been disappointed. I mean, if you're taking in a teenager, I think this is probably the part that's the most different, is they've been hurt so many times if they've been in the system very long, and they've been let down by people that are supposed to love them, that they don't feel lovable. And that's a hard thing to overcome for anybody. So to teach them to set safe boundaries in their relationships, to teach them to communicate well, to have expectations of people treating them right, whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, or biological parents, our family, to help build that self-esteem in those teenagers, because you've got them for such a short period of time. And I think that's probably one of the things that we felt like was the hardest, was we felt so intense on, we had so much they needed to learn how to drive, and they needed to get a bank account, and they needed to pick out a college, and they needed to do all these things, but even more importantly, we had this short period of time to get them to trust an adult and believe that we could love them past the age of 18.
I think that's a big thing.
Commitment level for foster parents. I hear people all the time, or I hear conversations where kids have been returned, quote unquote, and I just don't understand that. I mean, to me, that's just unacceptable. I think from a foster parent standpoint, it's not easy, but no parenting is. And if it's not for the faint of heart, and if you're not going to commit to, this is a lifelong relationship, just like you have a lifelong relationship with your biological children, you don't need to start, because they don't need another person to let them down. I mean, the commitment part, I think, is probably the absolute number one thing in my mind.